What's going on, everybody? We are back in the rattlesnake room once again here today. So as many of you probably already know, these guys go through a pretty deep brumation. And as a result of that, on the other end, they have these really crazy shed cycles where they look like a totally different snake by the end. So kind of over that course of the 5 to 6 month period where they're slowly cooling down, slowly ramping back up, aren't on food, they really dull out significantly. If all goes well, they're not supposed to shed during that process. So in the spring, once it warms up, once they start eating, they go through that shed cycle and they look just stunning afterwards. So I'm going to show you guys some of the snakes today that have already had that post-brumation shed to show you just how beautiful they are. And of course, I just love showing off these rattlesnakes. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So to start off the video, kind of on the opposite end of what I was just saying, here is one of my Honduran palm vipers, Zacatecas marchi. And this guy, as you can see, is super deep in shed right now, where he is essentially blue. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. This is a kind of deeper shed than I would typically see out of these snakes. This is the first one out of brumation for him. So they kind of seem to be in that shed for a little bit longer. And by the end of it, the result is really shocking. So this is what I'm seeing with a lot of them right now, but a number of them have already shed. So here's actually kind of a cool example right here. This is my pair of Palencia locality banded rock rattlesnakes. And the female is the one here on top. She has had her shed and the male hasn't. You can see how he's kind of dingier, darker. The skin doesn't look quite as clean and clear as the female's does. And she is just vibrant. Her colors are glowing. Her scales look fantastic. So that's kind of what you're seeing as a difference between pre-shed and post-shed. The lighting here is not really showing the best representation of her colors, but she's got a kind of cool green wash, really crisp black bands, just an incredible example of a banded rock rattlesnake. This Palencia locality is known for having some of the cleanest pattern of them all, as far as that big, bold banding, some cool modeling in between the bands, but really that bold contrasting band is a very telltale sign of this locality, as is with many others, of course, but just beautiful snakes and a good example of kind of what pre and post shed looks like. All right, this girl right here is just beautiful. She is one of my San Luis Potosi rock rattlesnakes. And as you can see, sitting right on top of that shed, and man, those colors are just popping. The reds and yellows, especially further up on her body, are just glowing right now. She is one of my favorite examples of this species that I have in my collection. You can see that nice big rattle there behind her, and still a good sized rattle on the snake as well. So definitely one of my favorite rattlesnakes that I work with. She's looking nice and thick right now too. Hopefully a good indication of things to come, but just a beautiful snake, and one that looked nothing like this pre-shed. She was super dark and dingy, and then right after that shed just exploded with color. All right, more banded rock rattlesnakes. This here is my Big Hatchet locality pair. They've both shed, and as you can tell, super vibrant. One thing I really like about these two in particular, they have a kind of pastel-y look to them. Not the most spectacular locality when it comes to the pattern, the color, but this really pastel look, something I'm a very big fan of with this pair right here. And female also looking quite thick here. Didn't see any action from them last year, but who knows? They could have clearly done it when I wasn't looking. But really like the variety as well. The male almost has kind of like a yellowish wash to him as well. Not a very common color on banded rock rattlesnakes, where the female has a little bit more of a typical pink wash that you'll see in lots of females. So another beautiful pair, and man, post-shed, they look gorgeous. All right, so sticking on the banded rock rattlesnake theme, here's another female. This is an Alamo Waco locality, banded rock rattlesnake. And the Alamo Waco locality is maybe the one in the US that is known for the best colors. She, as you can see, is just gorgeous with that really cool pink and kind of purple wash. I always love when the banded rock rattlesnakes have bands that are not black, even though that's a really cool look. Just throw some variety into the mix. And her bands are essentially purple. So she's like a pink and purple snake. Pre-shed, she was like 10 shades darker than this. It was really crazy. I mean, she was one that when she shed, I was just in pure shock, as if I haven't had this snake for years. But you know, over that period, you kind of can forget a little bit what they look like, especially as you're looking at them every day as they kind of continue to get darker and darker. So this girl is just gorgeous. She looks fantastic right now. And like some of the other ones, a little bit of a pouch growing there too. Here's another pair of the San Luis Potosi rock rattlesnakes. They were quite enthusiastic when I opened the enclosure thinking I was feeding them. Fortunately for them, that is not the case right now, but really beautiful. And another example of a pre-shed and post-shed pair. The male, who is here on the left, has had his shed. Female on the right has not. And honestly, you couldn't even really tell with the female. She's still so beautiful, but the male is really glowing. That blue, kind of powder blue coloration that he has, really coming through nicely. Really high contrast. And the female, for as nice as she looks now, will be even more beautiful once she has that shed. So this male right here is probably my favorite male I have. The female that you saw in that earlier clip, I would say is probably my favorite female of the locality that I have, but it's really hard to pick between her and this girl, and frankly, I don't need to. So one of my favorite rattlesnakes. I love the Mexican localities and species, and these guys are right up there at the top. All right, here this guy is. I've shown him on the channel a handful of times. This is my favorite banded rock rattlesnake I have, my male Zacatecas locality, and he has shed. Man, look at that. I mean, under the light, he kind of has a little bit of a blue hue to him. He is just super green with those kind of chocolatey bands. Just incredible. The Zacatecas, Mexico, obviously, locality is known for really clean pattern and maybe the best color of all of the rock rattlesnakes, with that mint green on the males, really cool pink coloration on the females, and those chocolatey brown bands. This is finally the year that I'll be able to pair my Zacatecas up. So definitely doing some feeding right now, getting them up to size, putting some weight on the female, and come about July or so, late June, July, when breeding season starts, these guys are going to be a high priority for me. On that theme, here's the female, and as you can see, very, very different look from the male, and still very cool in her own right. That really cool pink, kind of chocolatey brown coloration on the bands, really coming through on her. Just objectively, the females don't get quite as nice looking as the males, but nonetheless, still have a really cool look. And show very well just how different the Mexican clobberi are from the US clobberi. Pretty significant pattern difference, just overall different appearing snake, and in such a cool way. I love these Mexican rattlesnakes, as you guys can tell if you haven't been able to tell already, and these Zacatecas are right up at the top. Sticking on the theme of Mexican rock rattlesnakes, this is my female Tarahumara banded rock rattlesnake. As you can see, a very different appearance than the other banded rock rattlesnakes. This locality used to be classified under the taxa Semicornutus, for the horns they kind of have above their eyes right there. Very different overall snake, reclassified into the subspecies of clobberi. And as you can see, though, just a super different snake. Really not that banded look whatsoever. Different color palette, almost kind of like a turquoise-ish blue with some pinks on the side. One of the most unique and beautiful of the Mexican rattlesnakes, and one that I'm very happy to have here, have a nice, incredible pair of. And definitely saw some action with her last year, so maybe we're looking at some babies this summer. So now to kind of take it back to the other side of this equation, this is a pair of which neither have shed, and the female in particular is looking really dark. So you've been seeing these ones throughout the video that have shed that are looking really beautiful, super vibrant, and then compare them with these two right here. So this is what you're looking at the end of that brumation period. Much darker. I'll throw a picture up on the screen of one of these Franklin Mountain locality banded rock rattlesnakes, fully fired up just to see how different they are. But with that said, within the next month or so, with the female probably even a little bit sooner, we'll get those sheds and they will look like totally different snakes. All right, so now we're taking a look at my pair of Carataro Dusky rattlesnakes, or Crotalus achilles. Super sexually dimorphic species right here. Female is up top. We can kind of get this glare to go away. There we go. Kind of a cool pinkish red wash over a kind of slate gray snake. Really neat. And then the male is super green, and in the right lighting, he actually has a bit of a yellow tint to him as well. Quite different than the other Mexican rattlesnakes we've been taking a look at so far. Very different kind of color palette, different pattern, and then different body structure as well. These guys are a little bit more elongated than the rock rattlesnakes. Generally speaking, will end up at a larger adult size than the rock rattlesnakes will, but still very similar in lots of ways as well. So really love this pair. This has been a species that I've been interested in since really getting into rattlesnakes, and one that I'm super happy to have an adult pair of. All right, taking a look at another one of my favorites here. Outside of the ridge-nosed rattlesnake and rock rattlesnake complex, is definitely my favorite rattlesnake. This is a Lancehead rattlesnake, or Crotalus polystictus. This is my smaller male, and he is just shed and is looking just spectacular. Just an incredible snake. I love that reticulated webbed pattern. He has kind of a more bubbly pattern, a little bit thicker lines in between the spots where some of them have a little bit thinner pattern, and really cool color as well. A little bit more orange, where a lot of them are more on the brown side. So he's a very exceptional example of this species. Species that I have yet to be able to reproduce successfully, but are top on my priority list to get done. Now here's my bigger male Lancehead rattlesnake. You can see a good bit bigger. His head is much larger, but this is also a good bit older of an animal. A little bit different pattern as well. Just incredible species, really variable as well. I love that pattern on the head, just so beautiful. All right, here is another absolute favorite of mine and a very high priority for breeding this year. This is my male Mexican Dusky rattlesnake, or Armstrong's rattlesnake, Crotalus armstrongi. He has this incredible yellow coloration. This species is normally kind of brown and gray, so to have this really high colored individual is very, very special. But my pair is finally at sexual maturity. I've been raising them up since they were about yearlings, so I would say going into this year, for all of my Venomous, this is the one pair that I am the most excited about. All right, and now to close us out with my favorite locality of US native Calabri, and that is the Organ Mountain locality from around Las Cruces, New Mexico. Just absolutely incredible. The modeling between the bands is really second to none. This is my female right here, and the male has some thicker pattern. She is a really, really nice pink coloration. I just can't say enough good things about this animal. I'm really fortunate to be able to have this pair in my collection. This is one of the less common localities in collections these days. So to have a really incredible pair is a dream come true. All right, everybody, thank you for checking out that video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Please like and share. I drop a new video every single Friday here on the channel. And if you want to support everything that I have going on here on the YouTube channel or on my podcast as well, please visit patreon.com/CushReptile. It is the absolute best way to support everything that I have going on. All members of all tiers immediately get 50% of their membership fee as a credit towards any future animal that they want to acquire from me, and that credit never expires. Also, as a member of the Patreon, you get first access to any animals that I make available anywhere before the public does, in the order of the tiers. So if there's a project that I have that you've been eyeing for a long time, the best way to ensure you have access to it is by going over to the Patreon. Like I just stated, I also have a podcast as well. It is called Cush's Corner and is on the Trap Talk Reptile Network, live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It is also available as a playback on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, all of the major podcast platforms if you're an audio fan like myself. I'm also on Morph Market at Cush Reptile as well. That's where you can find my availability at any given time. I'm also on Instagram at Scrub Shepherd, Stephen Cush on Facebook, and please also check out the Somalia group on Facebook. That is my group that I run, all about Somalia, scrub pythons and Boelen's pythons. So for any Somalia fans, that is the place to go. We've developed a really amazing community over there, and it is always growing. All of the links to everything that I just said are in the description below, so please check it all out. Once again, thank you guys for checking out the video, and I'll catch you all back here next week for a new one.